So, the IELTS speaking test. Does it kind of freak you out a little? Well, you're definitely not alone. But in this explainer, we're going to pull the whole thing apart, piece by piece. We'll use a real mock test to show you the ropes and map out a super clear strategic path to help you nail it. So, let's just dive right in. Yeah, I know what you're thinking when you see this. A test paper like this can look, well, pretty intense. But I want you to start seeing it in a totally new light. It's not really a test. Think of it more like a conversation, one that has a very predictable structure. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll have all the tools you need to master that conversation.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we're going to break down the test structure itself. Then we'll dive into each of the 3 parts one by one: the warm-up, the cue card, and the discussion. And to wrap it all up, we'll look at some amazing model answers to see how it all comes together.
Right. First things first. Honestly, the biggest key to feeling confident is knowing exactly what you're walking into. So, what's the actual structure of this test?
It really is this simple. The whole thing is just 3 parts. That's it. We're talking about a conversation that's only about 12 minutes long, split into 3 totally manageable sections. When you think about it like that, it's already way less scary, isn't it?
So what is the examiner really listening for? Well, they're not there to catch you making mistakes. They're just looking at 4 key things: your fluency, your vocabulary, your grammar, and your pronunciation. Every single strategy we talk about today is designed to help you show off those 4 skills.
Okay, let's jump into our first section. Part 1 isn't designed to trick you at all, it's just a warm-up. This is your chance to get comfortable, build a nice rapport with the examiner, and, make a really great first impression with your natural speaking style.
So what is part 1? It's basically a 4 to 5 minute chat about things you already know everything about: your job, where you're from, your hobbies. The examiner's goal is just to help you relax. Your goal? Just show them you can chat clearly and confidently about everyday stuff.
For instance, the examiner might ask a really simple question, like this one from our mock test: do you like your job? Now, a simple yes or no, that's just not going to cut it here. So how do you take a basic answer and make it great? You use what I call the answer plus 1 technique. Instead of just saying, yes, I like it, you give your answer and then you add 1 extra piece of information. It could be a reason why, a quick example, or how it makes you feel. This tiny change works wonders because it shows you can elaborate naturally, and that's a huge sign of fluency. It turns a boring response into a fantastic one.
All right, let's move on to part 2, the cue card. A lot of people find this part the most nerve-wracking, but I really want you to see it differently. This isn't a scary test. It's your 2-minute spotlight. It's your time to really shine and show what you can do without being interrupted. They'll hand you a cue card, just like this one, with a topic and some bullet points to help you out. You get exactly 1 minute to prep, and then you need to talk about the topic for 1 to 2 minutes. The secret? You have to use that 1 minute really, really wisely. A good plan is what's going to keep you talking confidently for the full 2 minutes.
And here's exactly how you do it. The biggest mistake is trying to write full sentences. Don't do that. Instead, just follow these 4 simple steps. First, underline the keywords. Second, scribble down just 1 or 2 idea words for each bullet point. Third, think of a quick little personal story to make it interesting. And finally, plan how you'll start and how you'll finish. This little roadmap is your best friend to keep from freezing up.
Now, that topic you just talked about for 2 minutes, we're not done with it yet. It actually becomes the jumping-off point for the final and most abstract part of the test, part 3. This is where the conversation completely shifts gears, moving away from you and into bigger, broader ideas.
This right here says it all. In part 1, they ask about your dream job. But in part 3, the question blows up to what governments should do about a related topic. See how the focus zooms out from you to society? This is where you get to show you can think critically and talk about more complex issues. So, how do you do well here? The trick is to structure your answers. The best way is point, explain, example. First, state your main point. Simple. Second, explain what you mean. And third, back it up with a real-world example. Oh, and using phrases like, it seems to me, or one could argue that, that's going to show the examiner you're comfortable with these bigger ideas. Okay, we've talked about the theory, we've got the strategy down. Now for the fun part. Let's actually see how this all works in practice. We're going to look at a model answer for each part of the test. Let's start with this classic part 1 question. And remember, we've got to use our answer plus 1 technique here.
See how great that is? The answer is direct, an astronaut. But then it adds the +1, the feeling of being fascinated. And then it connects it to today with the curiosity I still carry. It uses really nice vocabulary like convinced and sparked. That right there is a high-level response.
Now for our part 2 cue card. The goal here is to speak for up to 2 minutes and cover the points on the card, but make it sound like a natural story.
What a fantastic start. It begins with a strong statement using words that paint a picture, like longing to visit. It immediately tells us the what, the why, and the how. It just sets the stage perfectly for a talk that's going to be both descriptive and really personal.
And last but not least, a part 3 question that flows right from our part 2 topic. Remember, the focus now is on bigger societal ideas.
This is a textbook example of that point, explain, example structure we talked about. The point, parks are essential for well-being. The explanation, they have a vital environmental role. The example, they're called the city's lungs. That clear, logical flow is exactly what the examiner wants to hear.
So let's just quickly recap the most important things. First, remember, this test is predictable. It's just 3 parts. For part 1, use answer +1. For part 2, make that 1 minute of prep time really count. And for part 3, think bigger. Expand your answers from me to we. Honestly, practice is what builds confidence, and now you have a perfect roadmap for what to practice.
So there you have it. You have the blueprint now. You get the structure, you have the techniques. So the only real question left is, what's the very first step you're going to take to put all this into practice? Thanks for tuning in to this explainer.